Hey guys, Wild for Games here for you. Today I'm going to show you something that a lot of beginners have a lot of trouble with. How to get your paint to break when doing a mountain. Let's get started. Okay, just a heads up. This is a beginner's tutorial to how to do paint breaks. I'll do an advanced one later on, but this is just to get you guys to stop treating your paint like it's butter or jam on toast. We're going to get away from the smushing aspect and start working on the paint breaking. So most of you guys are probably used to something just like this. This is one of my first paintings. What happens is your paint doesn't glide off, so you kind of get a little frustrated and you start pushing harder, which basically just smushes the paint into the mountain, and you kind of get just these slides of paint that don't really look like anything. But after much practice, you eventually start learning how the feel and flow goes, and you start getting more and more breaks as you go. I learned a lot of things by just doing it over and over, and I want to share my secrets with you. One of the first things to do is not use this palette knife. It's a great palette knife, but it's an advanced palette knife. What I recommend is actually picking up a palette knife just like this. This is the smaller palette knife. It's an Artist Loft knife. I'll put it down in the description below. The difference between this one and the other one is the Bob Ross knife is basically what that is. A knife. It's very sharp, where the Artist Loft knife is actually rounded at the edge. It allows the actual paint to flow off, whereas the Bob Ross knife, you're basically gliding and cutting it off. So pick up this knife if you can. It's about $3 to $5 at your local craft store. That's my first tip. So now that we got that out of the way, let me show you how we're going to actually cut our paint, because there are some techniques that'll help you if you are a beginner. Let me show you that. So mountain breaks are one of the toughest things to do, and that's because we're kind of told the wrong way of approaching it. If you're already good at mountains, you only need a thin roll of paint, but a lot of us aren't starting there. So I recommend doubling or even tripling your amount of paint that you're going to need. What you need to do is flatten out all your paint on your palette and go across with a nice thick cut. This is a great starting off point for a beginner. To speed up the process, I went ahead and applied Magic White to a canvas and dropped in a basic sky with Phthalo Blue paint. I also added a mountain because we're going to need some kind of base. Make sure your mountain color is obviously darker than any other color you're going to use. This will help you practice. Now that we got our mountain in place, let's take our triple thick roll of paint that we were talking about earlier and put it on our knife. This will allow us to take our palette knife and jiggle it to the top of the peak. This will ensure that the paint is actually already grabbing something. Once it's grabbing, just let the knife flow down. You're going to get very strong snowy top peaks with just some minor breaks, but this is a great starting point. Continue the process all the way through your peaks until you feel comfortable. Don't really worry about the lay of the land just yet. We'll cover that in another video. Just concentrate on getting the paint to actually break across the knife and allowing it to flow smoothly. Once you have all your highlights laid in, practice on your shadow side. All I do is take a mixture of titanium white and phthalo blue and leave it marbly as I go. Again, just concentrate on getting the flows of the breaks. Don't worry if you actually get a mountain to take shape. If any of your shadows went over across your highlights, go back with some titanium white and just touch them up. It's really easy. Just glide across with a very, very soft touch, and the paint will grip on and form that mountain for you. Once you have the mountain the way that you like it, go ahead and finish it off by tapping in the bottom of the base and then feathering it up to create a nice little distant effect. Let's do our second one. Now that we understand the doubling and tripling of our roll, let's talk about another aspect that's going to make our highlights stick even better. And it starts with our mountain. When you're putting in your mountain, you want to make sure that you grind out all the excess color that you're not going to need. And when you pull down on the gradient, you get it nice and smooth. This will allow the actual highlighted color to stick better because it will be able to stick to a thinner coat of paint as opposed to a very thick globby paint. When you have globby paint, your highlights just slide across and nothing grabs. So make sure you put in that mountain on a nice thin push coat and let the gradient actually feather out. Let's switch sides here for a second. I want to show you actually how the paint is gliding across. When you take your palette knife with whatever roll you feel comfortable with, make sure you apply just small pressure when starting. Take the knife up to the very peak of the mountain and jiggle it on. This will allow you to actually grab the peak of the mountain and thus you can just allow the weight of the blade to come across. The more weight, the more smooth the snow's gonna look. The less pressure, the more gaps you're gonna get. Don't be afraid if the knife jumps off the canvas, just slowly reapply it. Having gaps is what creates character within that mountain. When you feel comfortable, just repeat the process. Just keep letting the knife glide across and let it grab what the canvas wants to grab. Don't feel like you have to let the actual highlight fill in the whole mountain. Some parts of the paint will look best when you leave actual gaps, so don't be afraid to leave gaps. When you feel all good about it, fill in the opposite side with your shadow color. Again, a marbly color of phthalo blue and titanium white. Well, from here, the next step is just practice, practice, practice. Go ahead and keep putting in mountains. Try to work your way from a level 3 roll to a level 2 to a level 1, and then switch back over to the Bob Ross knife, and then start over again, working from a level 3 to a level 2 to a level 1. You'll be surprised when you master mountains how much you can do with very, very little paint. It took me a long time, and I still struggle with it at times, but it's fun to practice. So I hope this helped you guys out a lot. Well, there you go. That's the best way I found out how to do mountains with gaps and getting the paint to break. It's not easy, but these are some good tips and tricks to help you get started. I'll do another advanced tutorial maybe later down the line, but this is a good starting off point for a lot of you. If you guys have any questions or concerns, lay a comment down there below. If you guys want to follow me on the social media, there it is all right down there. If there's a few more videos you'd like to check out from me, they're over there to the right. If you guys do like this video, go ahead and give it a nice thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love doing all these painting ones. Check you later.